Hello, once again, my name is Chris Meckley from ACI Aquaculture. Thank you for joining us on this short segment about Acroporas. Okay, Acroporas. Acroporas kind of are very important to me, and as a matter of fact, the ACI Aquaculture. When we started the company, it was started off as just growing and fragging Acroporas. Kind of one of the things that got me personally into corals. Love them, love the challenge. There's so many different species. They come from everywhere. Over 300 plus different species of Acroporas are living in the ocean at this time, as well as many hybrid species. One of the things I learned a long time ago, Acroporas, as they're growing, if they have crossing branches that intersect with each other, it's considered a hybrid. If they have branches that do not intersect, that's considered a true species. Don't know the true facts and how true that is, since of course I've seen stuff that people call, Millipora, crossing branches. Is it really a Millipora? Don't know. All I know is it's an Acropora. Acroporas are absolutely gorgeous, come in many different color varieties. The majority of the wild Acroporas are brown. We as aquarists, we enjoy the beauty and the color of the different species. Tenuous, one of the most highly sought after Acroporas at this point in time in the hobby, and they come in a wide variety of colors. Millipora has always been a very popular Acropora, mainly fuzzy, also come in a wide variety of colors. One of the acros back in the day, the blue tort, the Oregon tort, not as common in the hobby as what it used to be. Also not as common to be seen for me as an importer to import. But when it comes down to Acroporas, I think the biggest thing that a lot of people see with them is that there's no other genus out there that has such a wide variety of colors and growth patterns in a type of coral or a genus of coral other than Acropora. So it makes a lot of hobbyists very interested in them. For one, the challenge there to keep Acroporas, you have to be on the top of your game. If you're not, you can have a lot of problems. One of the particular species that we bring in a lot of that has probably 10 or 15 different colors that, back years ago we didn't see all these different colors is the Acropora Tenuous. And it's become very popular ever since the, I'm not good with names, but the Walt Disney, I think it's the Jason Fox Homewrecker, and then who knows. There's others out there that other companies have coined names on, and it's just become very popular. Milliporas, who can go wrong with a millie? They're fuzzy, they're absolutely gorgeous. They grow fairly quickly and one of the easier corals to keep. One of the harder corals to bring in because they're so dense in coral, in corallites, with so many different polyps on such a small area of the coral, it makes it a little bit more difficult. It's a challenge shipping them in. Usually when we bring in the Milliporas, it tends to be a little bit milky in the water, hence the fact that we have a 48 plus hour round flight from where we import them from. But our suppliers are amazing and they do a really good job, and we make sure that we get them in the majority of them in really good shape so that we can offer them to our customers so that hobbyists like yourself can enjoy them long term, propagate them, grow them so big that you have to take a half of it out. And that's the thing I always loved about having the Acroporas is you can watch them grow out into a large colony, break it all the way down to just the original nub you had there, and in 3-4 years you have the same colony back again. Trade it, which is what we used to do in this hobby. We used to trade with our friends so that everybody had a piece of it. So if you did lose your colony, it was available to you to get back again. Things have changed. I get it, understand. There's a big market for these particular corals. I think one of the things that makes me so excited about Acroporas in general is the fact that they're picky, they're finicky. It's a challenge constantly, and most hobbyists that keep LPS and soft corals have a very difficult time keeping them, especially beginners. Something I recommend that you graduate into, learn how to keep your soft corals, learn how to keep your LPS corals, and then, trickle in an Acropora or Montipora, some other sort of SPS that's a little bit easier to keep. So that way, you know, you're not investing a lot of time and a lot of effort into trying to keep something that might not be something that you're at the level to keep yet. Soft corals in your system, unless you're running heavy carbon, I would recommend you remove a lot of your soft corals, because most of the soft corals, such as leathers, they fight with chemical warfare and not necessarily stinging cells. So just be careful when you're keeping Acroporas with LPS and softies. Sometimes, depending on how you run your system, it's going to be the reason why your Acroporas don't do well. So keep in mind when you want to keep Acroporas in your system, to make sure that you are very good at keeping your parameters stable and steady and consistent. That is very key. Good water parameters, good a steady constant temperature, and I recommend the temperature to be around 76, 77 degrees for Acroporas, and also your actual water parameters. Three basics: alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. They are the most important to keep stable. The rest of the stuff, test kits are hard to get to maintain them, so doing regular water changes on your system will help you keep the levels where they are very similar to what they need to be. Again, consistency by doing a water change on the same day every single week, every other week, every month, whatever is best for you and whatever works for you. We have a lot of automation nowadays. We have, you know, the controllers that can dose your alkalinity, your calcium, your magnesium. We have calcium reactors. Of course, they've been around for many years. As a matter of fact, here at ACI, we're going to put calcium reactors on our main coral grow out system, because it's just been a challenge keeping everything stable all the time. So the calcium reactor will be something I'm very curious here in the next, well, it's supposed to be here this week. So this week we will get that set up, and hopefully we'll be able to dial it in within a couple of weeks and keep everything stabilized so that we can get even more growth out of our SPS and, of course, mainly our Acroporas. But that's the basics that I can think of with Acroporas. They're absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot of them available. There's a lot of variety available. Some are easy, some are hard, and it's just a matter of whether you as an aquarist have the time and are willing to put the effort into maintaining your system properly to keep this absolutely gorgeous and one of the largest genuses of coral in the ocean. Since a lot of people do love the Acroporas, a lot of people have come across the pests that don't like them, or that make your life, you know, difficult. When you have an absolutely gorgeous aquarium and all of a sudden things start going south, you can't figure it out, everything's perfect, and you take a good close look at the coral, you see little bite marks at the base, even up in the main parts of the main colony. Acropora eating flatworms, something that is very common in the industry. Back, 15 years ago, I remember, the old school Surabaya Acroporas were coming in, they were covered in red bugs. Everybody's freaking out, thinking red bugs were, worst thing that you could actually have in your aquarium. And in reality, they're simple. I'd rather have red bugs than any Acropora eating flatworms. Red bugs are easily gotten rid of with, something that was developed, about the time that they were found. It's called interceptor to your system. And there's multiple doses you have to do to make sure that you, get rid of the second generation after you kill the adults, which would be the eggs or the larvae. They're fairly simple to maintain and to get rid of. Plus, you have a lot of different fish and other pest control that you can add to your aquarium. I recommend everybody that has SPS, put little blue line pipefish in your aquarium. Dragon face pipefish also work very well. Even the red banded pipefish. All of my SPS systems have all of those animals in them to help to take care of it. Acropora eating flatworms. The worst thing to possibly have in an Acropora system. Once they're in your system, if your corals are covered and encrusted onto the rock, and that rock is a big chunk of your reef, getting that whole rock out to treat it, to clean it, to scrub it, can be very difficult. There's a lot of different methods out there to remove Acropora eating flatworms. The one that I found the best is just to dip your coral, make fragments of it, and put them in a system that has not been tainted with the Acropora eating flatworms. Because once they're there, to remove them from the main reef, it can be very difficult, because you don't know if you're going to get the eggs, even if you scrub the bases of the corals with a toothbrush. there's so many little crevices that those things could have laid eggs in. It could possibly come back again down the road. So what I recommend is, if you're going to get an Acropora, I've said this in previous videos, whoever you buy it from, doesn't matter how trustful they are, dip that coral, quarantine that coral, dip that coral, and then quarantine it some more before you put it in your main display, especially if you don't want to have to worry about the headaches that can happen. And people have had Acroporas in their system, and they've thrived and done extremely well, and over a year, 2 years, no issues, and even been 6 months since they added a coral, all of a sudden have Acropora eating flatworms. Well, do they come in on rocks that another coral that they purchased came in on? Or was it on something that they added to their system 6 months before, and it took that long before they even noticed they were even in their system? Because it's a slow process for them to proliferate and to grow and to infect maybe not all the corals in their system, but a good portion can be affected over a long period of time. I recommend you keep your alkalinity between, the 8.0, 8.6 range. I've had great success with that. The growth is phenomenal. Calcium, 390. We keep ours around 400. It's kind of right in between the 400, 390 and 420 is what a lot of places and a lot of people recommend. And when it comes to magnesium, we keep ours right around 1250. And it's been very, very good. But again, everybody's got methods that work. If you like to keep it high, just make sure it stays consistent. When you keep it high, it's harder to keep it up. When you keep it at natural seawater parameters, especially if you're using a balanced salt and not just a basic salt, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that, but a balanced salt will help keep your parameters stable longer because of ionic balance. And that is one thing that we are very adamant here in. We use a salt that is balanced ionically, so that it makes it easier for us, especially when we're doing as many water changes we do as the systems, and we're selling corals out of them. We're packing water, we're adding water. Keeping it balanced makes it a lot easier for the corals to transition from the constant water changes that we give. Our Acroporas, in my opinion, they get better as they sit here. A lot of the Australian ones come in a little light in color for me. As they sit here for 2 weeks, they darken up, the colors start to pop more. We actually sell them better after they've been sitting here for 2 weeks than what they do when they first come in. The maricultures, they're like fine wines, Vincent does an amazing job. They get better and better and better sitting in our system. Consistency is what we do, and it's how we work here. And it's gonna work for any hobbyist that loves this type of coral. It's gonna work for them as well. Talk about lighting for a little bit here. Lighting is very, very important, especially when it comes to Acroporas. If you have a low light system and you want to try Acroporas, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for the hobbyist that wants to keep Acroporas without having intense enough light. One of the ways you can combat that, having a lower light, is by putting a little bit higher nutrients. If you have really high light, you want your nutrients to be on the lower side. And this is what we've learned over the years of keeping these corals. And thank you again for joining us on this short segment about Acroporas. My name is Chris Meckley from ACI Aquaculture. We hope you enjoyed it.
Live right now. I mean, not live, video. Jesus. And those are the...
Look at the size. Just for scale, massive.
Yeah.
And here's another one.
My goodness.
Another one. So we can get those under a microscope. I don't have my scope here. I actually took it home, so that's kind of a shame. But for that. Okay. You might say, why are you putting them in there with it? Well, it's curious. There's surely more of them on there. So now we can study them. can also put them in a container, and I can show you what happens when you put them in Revive. It doesn't take long. There's 1, 2.
There's a lot. Wow. It's like an infestation.
Yeah, that's why he looks like that. Yeah. I guess we got to get another bucket.
Yeah.
To do this. Okay. So this I can throw out, right? You don't need to keep it.
No. So we just filled it up using this water.
Okay, so we can treat with Revive there, and you'll see these guys jump off. It's like, what am I going to do with these that are stuck on the plastic? I guess we can look at them later, right?
Yeah.
And get rid of them. I see some crawling around.
Yeah. Gee, these are huge.
They are massive.
These are probably the biggest flatworm that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Usually those, brown flatworms, they're like not that big.
Now these are like Acropora eating type flatworms. So you see the one there on the...
Yeah, I see it right there.
Yeah, this is about a gallon. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Video shows the flatworm on the sidewall there.
Yep.
Okay, so here I'm gonna treat a gallon. Ida Lisa is gonna get in the video.
Okay.
Hey guys. So that's 1 capful, 2 capfuls, 3,
Usually I'm like very
4.
I spare no expense like on the dip. There is no like really like over dip, right?
About a gallon. Well, yeah, could be. Okay, so a little bit of flow, and we'll see what happens to the flatworms. They're not going to be happy, and there's going to be a lot of them coming off. Look here.
Yeah. I actually even see on the bottom right there also.
Mm-hmm. What will happen is they actually explode. They fall apart.
Hmm. Is it because they're mainly made out of water that's why it happens?
No, it's not a difference in the hydrostatic pressure. It's just the composition of this will break their tissues apart. So normally you would get more flow. See, look, they're coming off. You see them?
Yeah.
Look in the water now. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And that's not all of them. I'm sure there's still some sticking on. Look now.
Wow. These things are massive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this coral is all alive. The whole thing is alive. It's just bleaching because of those. resisting.
Yeah.
Some of them have already dissolved. Normally you can put a power head or something in there.
Yeah.
Smells strong.
Fresh Acropora in the morning.
Well, not just that. They will be like dissolved. And as you can see, the coral is fine. It's not any worse for the dip. Well, I don't see any flatworms coming off here.